Hello, my dear friends. Sit with me a moment, will you? There's something on my mind. Something small, yet it weighs heavy on the heart. It's about a little thing we sometimes call gossip. You might think it's harmless, like idle chit-chat over tea. But trust me, it's more powerful than it seems. Have you ever noticed how a whisper in a quiet room can suddenly sound like thunder in our ears? Gossip starts as a whisper, a casual remark, maybe a harmless story or a quick comment. But it can grow like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering weight and speed. And once it rolls into our lives, it can carry hurt and division that none of us ever intended. I know because I've been there. This old heart of mine has known what it feels like to watch a friendship crack, to see smiles turn uneasy. And maybe, dear ones, you have too. Today I want to talk about why, especially now in our golden years, we must gently step away from gossip. Words are powerful. They can heal or they can hurt. In my many years, I've learned that when we speak words of kindness and truth, they bring light. But when we speak words of gossip, even with the best intentions, we're like sowing seeds of confusion and hurt instead. I remember a wise saying from my youth: a word out of place can plant a field of weeds. Think about that. Have you ever felt that uneasy twist in your heart after hearing something unkind about someone, or even after speaking it yourself? That little twist that whispers, maybe I shouldn't have said that? That's your conscience, my dear, and it's trying to tell you something important. I promise this isn't a scolding. Not at all. Just think of me as an old friend or grandmotherly figure, sharing from my experiences. Together, let's explore this gently and see why letting go of gossip might be one of the kindest things we can do for ourselves and our community. Let me tell you the poison in a whisper. You see, gossip may seem like harmless chatter. It's human nature, after all. We share stories, sometimes about others. But gossip isn't just a little story. Often it's a tale told out of context or with missing pieces. It can be half-truths wrapped in assumption. I remember a time many years ago, after church on a Sunday afternoon. Two women from our community stood by the garden gate, talking softly. I overheard one say something about a neighbor's family troubles, but she only had half the picture. By the time I heard it, it sounded monstrous. I felt a pang in my chest. Later, I learned the words had hurt someone I cared about. That's when it hit me. Those harmless whispers had become hurtful arrows. Gossip is like invisible poison. It moves quietly, but its effects can be very real. Like that invisible fog in the morning that makes the world look different, gossip can cloud our vision, making us see people and situations in a dim, distorted way. It erodes trust between old friends who once confided in each other. It sows doubt in hearts that once beat with confidence. It builds walls between neighbors who could have become friends. I've watched trust slowly crumble. Friendships that took years to build can break in moments, all because of a few careless words. And it's not just those around us who suffer. We feel the sting too. Every time I've gossiped and later realized it hurt someone, I felt ashamed, as if I'd poked my own heart with a pin. Perhaps you know that feeling too? This, my dear, is why I say gossip is quietly dangerous. It's not loud or obvious. It creeps in like a shadow. And shadows can feel safe until you realize they cover things you value. This is the hidden roots of gossip. Now, you might wonder, why do we do it at all? Why do our lips sometimes betray us into sharing what maybe wasn't meant for our ears? It's a tough question, but important to ask, especially as we grow older and the days become more precious. Sometimes gossip sneaks in when we're feeling lonely or bored. Maybe a long afternoon with nothing to do, and suddenly someone brings up some spicy news. It can feel momentarily exciting, like stirring the pot, giving our day a jolt. I've been there listening and almost joining in, thinking it was harmless fun. Other times, it comes from our own hurts. When life has pushed us around, when we've lost friends or loved ones, or when we feel a pinch of regret, sometimes we might project that pain onto others. We say things not because we truly believe them, but because it diverts attention from our own hurt. Maybe you've noticed how comforting it can feel, momentarily, to turn the spotlight away from your own troubles by talking about someone else's. Or perhaps, as we grow older, we carry unspoken worries, like fear of being forgotten or jealousy of those still in the thick of life. Gossip can appear as a safety valve. I may not be young anymore, but at least I know something. But darling, I learned it's a false sense of security. It's like standing on a chair to feel taller, only to realize we're unsteady and could fall at any moment. Let me tell you, I once snapped at a woman at my book club. She got a new car, and out of nowhere I muttered to my friend, "Who does she think she is?" A silly thing, really. But right after I said it, I felt something wet on my cheek. My hand was there. I was crying, tears of frustration, not at the new car, but at myself. I realized I wasn't jealous of her car. I was afraid my own independence was fading, so I vented by talking about her. That moment taught me, sometimes gossip is really just hidden fear or pain trying to speak. Is there a part of your heart that ever whispers through gossip when it's hurting? What does it really want to say? Let me talk about the quiet storm in relationships. I once saw gossip turn a bright morning dark. My dear friend June, sweet soul, heard a rumor about a mutual friend, Delia. June loved Delia, but on hearing this rumor, she couldn't stop the questions. Is it true? What happened? She asked, but Delia always seemed tired, unable to get real answers. June started telling others what little she thought she knew. Before long, their circle was split. Some stood with June, some with Delia. Delia was crushed that people she trusted thought she was something she wasn't. And June was crushed when she realized her words, spoken with worry and love, had only hurt the person she cared about most. That was one of the hardest lessons I've learned. Gossip can break people's hearts. Delia and June drifted apart, and they never fully mended that friendship. Years later, I visited Delia, and she whispered with tears she believed the worst of me without asking me first. It's a memory I carry. It reminds me, before we speak about someone, especially someone we care for, we owe it to them and to ourselves to make sure we understand the truth. In our age, relationships are treasures. Those friends who've shared our joys and held our hands through losses. They are precious beyond measure. And gossip can cheapen those treasures to rubble. It's like finding a crack in the locket that holds your family's picture. Once that crack opens, you can't truly put it back together the same way. Now I will talk about the echo in our souls. You know, gossip doesn't only affect others. It can linger inside us, sometimes long after the words leave our lips. I've noticed that when I speak ill of someone, even in private, a little voice inside me scolds later. Is this really me? It doesn't feel good. It's as if a shadow follows me, reminding me I strayed from the best of myself. Imagine standing on the edge of a quiet shore and throwing a stone into the water. The splash is small, but the ripples go out far and wide. Gossip is like that stone. Small when we toss it, but its ripples touch many places, even beyond what we see. And those ripples always come back to us, sometimes in unexpected ways. I once noticed that the more time I spent indulging in idle talk, the more anxious I became about what others thought of me. It's strange, isn't it? We talk about others, but then worry if others talk about us. One evening, I whispered about someone with a neighbor, and soon I caught myself wondering, are they whispering about me now? It's a trap. The more we drink from the cup of gossip, the more thirsty we become, not for truth or companionship, but for approval, and we're rarely satisfied. I've learned that it's better to empty that cup and refill it with something nourishing, like a forgiving heart or a kind word for others. When I choose silence or a positive story instead, it's like drinking water that refreshes the soul instead of salt water that only makes us thirstier. Do your words build bridges or burn them? Think about that. This is my reflections on faith and heart. Let me share a thought from my faith, not to preach, but to illustrate the kind of quiet wisdom I mean. Many teachings, mine and others, remind us that our words are sacred. They say our tongue is a small part of the body, but it can set a whole forest ablaze. In other words, even small words have big consequences. I pray each day to be gentle with my words, to speak truth in love. And if I slip, I ask for forgiveness, not only from those I may have hurt, but from my own soul. After all, I've lived long enough to know this. At the end of the day, it's not our titles or our homes that matter most, but the love we gave and the harm we avoided. If our soul had ears, would it want to hear us gossip? Or would it prefer we share stories of hope, healing, and strength? I believe faith, any faith or belief in goodness, calls us to raise our words up, not tear them down. Speak with kindness always. I may not have all the answers, but I do know this. When I fill my heart with gratitude for my family, my years of love and lessons, there's simply less room for gossip to sneak in. Gratitude is like a warm blanket that keeps the cold whispers out. I want you to ponder on these questions. Tell me, dear one, when was the last time your heart felt lighter after sharing a rumor? And when was the last time it felt lighter after offering someone encouragement or sharing a funny childhood tale instead of someone else's troubles? What if, just for today, we practice speaking as if every word was a gift? What would we choose to give? What gift will your next words be? I like the sound of that, don't you? Every word a gift. Imagine how our world would change if we truly spoke with care, especially now as we grow older. Our time more precious, our circle smaller, and our legacy clearer. Let me now talk about forgiveness, maturity, and legacy. Let me tell you, the older I get, the more I realize how fleeting life is. Each day is a treasure we won't see again. We gather moments like buttons on a quilt. Some are bright and beautiful, others dull. But when someone flings gossip into the fabric, it creates a patch that tears at the seam. If I knew my time was almost up, I'd want the quilt of my life to be mostly stitched with love, not pain. That means leaving behind memories of being gentle, trustworthy, and kind. If I could speak directly to my grandchildren, I'd want them to remember me as someone who taught them compassion, not someone who taught them to whisper behind curtains. My granddaughter once asked me, "Grandma, how do you always know what to say?" I told her, "Sweetie, sometimes I don't know, but I try to be kind." It's not that I have magic words, just decades of learning, making mistakes, and forgiving myself for them. And each time I forgive myself for a slip, I feel lighter. Forgiveness is key, my dear. We must forgive ourselves and others when gossip happens. We cannot shame our way into kindness. That's right. If you find yourself gossiping and feel regret, don't beat yourself up. Instead, gently forgive yourself. In fact, one practice I found beautiful is this. When I catch myself about to gossip, I quietly say to my heart, "I forgive you. I will do better next time." And then I change the subject. It's like stepping on the handbrake before the car goes into reverse. We are all human. Even I, with all these years behind me, sometimes slip. But I'm proud of each new day. I choose differently. That's maturity, knowing our mistakes and caring enough to try to fix them. And each time we do, we build a little bridge of trust again. Imagine the legacy of a woman whose every word nurtured others. Let that be our goal. Not perfection. Oh no. Let's set our sights on compassion, understanding, and self-discipline. That's the mark of real wisdom. Practical steps to break the habit. Now, my dear, you might be thinking, this all sounds lovely, but how do I actually stop gossiping? I've learned a few gentle steps that have helped me, and maybe they can help you too. When a juicy story starts, take a moment. Breathe slowly. Even a heartbeat's pause can keep you from repeating something hurtful. Ask the 3 questions. I keep these in a little note by my bed. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? If not all yes, I shut my lips. On screen, the questions appear next to her as she says them. Change the subject. Divert the conversation to something positive. Remember that favorite childhood memory, or ask them how they feel today. By the way, how are you really? Speak from experience, not assumption. If the topic is someone's troubles, Encourage them to talk to that person directly. Sometimes saying, maybe we should hear their side too, is the kindest thing you can do. Fill your day with richness. Loneliness and boredom are breeding grounds for gossip. Find projects or hobbies that light you up: gardening, knitting, volunteer work, or writing letters. When your heart is full of something beautiful, you won't have room for empty chatter. These steps might seem small, but they've made a big difference to me. On the days I remember them, I feel peaceful. On the days I forget, I remind myself gently without harshness. Change takes practice, after all. Cultivating deeper conversations. Another key, my love, is to offer something better than gossip. See gossip as a signpost pointing to deeper needs. Perhaps someone needs empathy, companionship, or a different perspective. Next time a friend comes with a rumor, try this. Listen. I mean, really listen. Then gently ask about the person being talked about. How do you think she feels about that? Or did you know them well before? Often, just asking these questions can make the gossiper pause and see the situation differently. You might even say, I wonder if there's more to the story. Let's not judge without knowing. You might feel nervous deflecting at first, but it's like learning to swim. You start by dipping a toe, and soon you're paddling confidently. And your friend might realize in your care that what they really needed was not a scandal, but understanding or support. We can also share our own stories, ones from our hearts and homes. When a daughter-in-law of mine complained about a neighbor, I told a story about a woman I once knew who had similar worries. That changed the mood completely. We laughed together, and the sharp edge of gossip was gone. You see, dear, every time we replace gossip with a meaningful story or question, we are planting seeds of connection instead of weeds of hurt. Modeling integrity for younger generations. Oh, and let me tell you, our younger ones are always watching. They catch more than we think. When I talk to my grandkids, I try to show them another way by example. I speak about people with respect, even when they're not around. That teaches them, even when no one's looking, we act with kindness. Kids are funny. Last week, my granddaughters whispered about a friend of theirs. I gently said, Hush now, let's talk about their beautiful art project instead. They giggled, changed the topic, and you know what? The rumor lost its spark quickly. They saw that I wasn't angry, just guiding the conversation. And maybe they learned a little that day. We have a unique gift, you and I. We can pass on wisdom. When we show that our words can build up instead of tearing down, we light a path for those who'll follow. What story do we want our children and grandchildren to tell about us when we're long gone? Will it be, she was kind with her words, or will it be a story tinged with whispers? We do have a chance each day to rewrite our story, to speak a bit softer, to listen a bit more, to grow a little more. Gentle visual cues. As you watch this, maybe the peaceful images remind you that life itself is precious and fragile. A calm stream doesn't gossip. It just flows, nourishing everything around it quietly. You can be like that stream, dear one, nourishing others with your kindness rather than eroding them with idle words. Imagine each kind word is a step on this path, leading your community closer together. Each careless word is a stone you trip on, turning that path rocky. Which path will you choose today? Final reflections and call to action. My dear friends, I have shared my heart with you tonight because I care. I care about you and about the world we live in, a world where senior women, wise, kind, beloved, can set an example. We can show that our words matter now more than ever. I invite you to reflect on this conversation. What whispers are you holding inside? What words do you wish to water? If this resonates with you, maybe share it with someone you love. And more importantly, share your own wisdom and experiences in the comments below. We are all learning together. Reflect on your words. Share this message and live with intention. Thank you for listening so kindly, dear one. May your days be filled with meaningful stories, deep laughter, and love that knows no bounds. Remember, you are loved, you are wise, and your words are precious. Choose them as if cradling a new life, because, in a way, you are. Until we speak again, be gentle with your words and gentle with yourself. Goodbye for now, and may peace walk with you always.